Patrick, welcome to Nightbreed. Thanks for joining us, man. It's awesome to speak to you. So the new album comes out June 25th, but if it's all right with you, I wouldn't mind going back to the beginning to start, if that's okay with you.
Whatever you want, man.
Beautiful. All right. So yeah, back in 1986, what do you remember about Pestilence first forming?
I remember it being pretty difficult to find people that have the same musical interests. We all started in our little group of tape traders. We started just tape trading and getting like tapes from the US. Stuff like Septic Death and Mantas and Possessed and all these things that were a little bit more extreme than just your regular metal type of stuff that was happening, like Judas Priest or whatever, So it's difficult to find people that have similar interests back then in this type of music. Let's stand just to have people wanting to play with you, because not too many people, in my friends, circle are playing an instrument. So when I started thinking about, forming Pestilence, it was really hard to find people. So at first it was just like two guys would, I would just like try to do as much as I can do myself, because I'm a drummer myself. And I know that Chuck had his problems when he started out. They were just like a two-man band. So I figured, if he can do it, I can do it as well. So, and then like a friend from school, Marco, he didn't have a drum kit. So we bought him his first drum kit. He was not a drummer. He was just interested in the music. And so it evolved into something bigger, which is now Pestilence. So that was kind of really special, the way we started out, as a kind of, not really thinking that was something good was going to come out of this.
What was was there a metal scene in the Netherlands back then? Like, did you guys get to play many shows when you were starting out?
Well, Holland is like a small place, really. It's like a very small. It has a really small metal community, and for me, it's more like there was so much jealousy going on that we were the first signed band. That it was very difficult to go from one city to another city, and there was this animosity, and you could see it the same as with soccer. Just go to the next city. Just for example, Rotterdam and Amsterdam, they fucking hate each other's guts, right? But apart from the soccer, this was in the metal scene as well. It's like when you're from Rotterdam and we were coming from the east, they consider us as being farmers. Now, in combination with us getting the first record deal, they fucking hated our guts. So it's difficult to get shows around the country. So that's it. It was not like really a tight community at that point.
Okay. So 87, 88, you guys record the demos, and then, as you say, your first album on Roadrunner comes out. How was that recording process compared to doing the demos, like recording with a label and everything?
Well, the main difference is that when you go and record your demo, you gotta pay your own studio and stuff like that. Now when you go and record an album, this is taken care of by the label. And at that point, I was very immature about the music business, so I did not know what was going on. I was just happy, to be signed to a label. And then when you come to find out that the contract is really, really bad, we started to talk to like a musical lawyer, a lawyer that is like more specified for these types of problems with contracts. And we had a better, then we got ourselves a better contract. But the thing is that what a lot of people don't understand is that when you record an album, you don't think about the money involved. But this money is money that you are unrecouped. You got to pay this back. So back in the day, the labels, they could make money with selling CDs. Nowadays, it's another story. They're not even making money themselves anymore. With selling CDs, that's not their main goal anymore. And for the bands now to make a decent living, you got to tour and your merchandise and stuff like that. So at first, when we did our demo, it felt like, wow, we accomplished something because it was our money that we done from our daytime job, or just saving up money to do that. And it was way more special than going into the studio where the record label pays a certain amount of money, but you have to repay them anyways. So and then you're unrecouped because you're not selling, at first you're not selling as many CDs as they have spent on you. So but this is all in retrospect. Now I just have to laugh it off, really, because that was because I'm way smarter now with what's going on in the music industry. But just and the nostalgia, because I really have to tell myself, well, because we got this record deal is where I am now today as well. So yeah, so in that respect, I'm really happy the way everything turned out in the end.
So after that first album, your next album, Consuming Impulse, had a much heavier, beefier sound, a bit more death metal. What made you decide to make that shift, that sound change from thrash to more death sounding?
Well, at first, everybody that starts a band, everybody wants to be as original as possible, but especially when you're young, you're listening to a lot of different type of death metal that actually the stuff that you really enjoy is just stuff that you want to play. And this is the biggest mistake that bands make, is that they want to reproduce what they love listening to. But in order to be original, you have to look more into yourself as a musician. What do you want to accomplish? So when we did Malaise, we were heavily influenced by Slayer, a little bit Infernal Majesty, some Sepultura, because they were getting big, and they were assigned to Roadrunner as well. So it's when we started thinking maybe we should head out in a different direction, because death metal was getting really big, and we really enjoyed when Leprosy came out, for example. And we felt that we could do a pretty similar job, because it's not like I looked up to Chuck, but I knew that he was onto something, and I wanted to be like the European answer to that. So I came up with the songs for Consuming Impulse, and it's way more death metalish, and also the sound is way more brutal than Malaise was a little bit more thrashy, I guess. But during my I think during my career, I started to drift off more and more from listening to all these bands and trying to incorporate little ingredients that they were doing, and I guess that when Martin left, well, he didn't left, he got kicked out, but when Martin left, we had it opened up a lot of doors for us music-wise, because he wanted to go and play more simple death metal, whereas I wanted to go ahead a little bit more into the technical, and that's where Testimony of the Ancients came about, I guess.
What do you remember about those early years of touring and shows from those first few albums?
It's pretty much the same answer as how do I feel about the early work. It's like you're young, you're a young kid. You don't know what to expect. You have no idea, how the business works, and you accept certain standards because you don't know what standards there are. So we did the fair amount of shows in Germany, and people seem to like us in Germany a lot. We had this. The Roadrunner had also like an office in Germany, a big office, and so we did some promotion with Lemmy when Lemmy was still alive. We did some shows with the DRI, Dirty Rotten Imbeciles, when they were getting a little bit bigger. So we opened up for them. So we got a fair amount of airplay, and but as time progresses, you get a little bit more streetwise, and you get a little bit more music wise about what can we do. We need a manager for sure, because if you are involved like we are in Pestilence, sometimes you get emotional, and then you just need somebody to take care of business. In order for me not to become Hulk and get all crazy on everybody, So it's something that you don't want to do anyway. You just want to remain your calm, but make sure that Pestilence gets what they deserve, And just during those days, we got to see the good and bad things and the bad aspects of touring. There's a ton of good things that that I do remember, and there's a ton of things that I don't remember, but probably some less good stuff.
Okay. So in 1994, Pestilence disbands. What happened?
Well, this was right after we done the Spheres album.
Mm.
That album was a tool for me to get out of the contract that I had with Road Racers, because we were actually signed for at least 2 or 3 more albums. Okay. And they wanted us to do a Testimony of the Ancients Part 2, which I understand, because if we would have done that, we would have been probably by now one of the biggest death metal bands out there, together with Cannibal Corpse and all these other bands that are still out there, Obituary and all these bands, Because I remember times when Pestilence was headlining and Cannibal Corpse was opening up for us. So these times, I have been there, So, but since I've left for 20 years or something, I was so fed up with the whole music industry and the way Roadrunner and Road Racer were treating their bands in flooding the market with spineless death metal, just to sell death metal as much as they can. Is that when I started to realize, wow, we're not one of their biggest bands anymore. We have a better contract that we had. We had a shitty contract. Now it's a little bit better, but still, with every album, we got more in depth with them, And so I needed a way to get out of this. So we came up with Spheres as a tool to get out of the contract, and so they dropped us, which was not a surprise to me. I didn't make that album with a lot of love. I just knew in the back of my mind I needed to do something in order to save my neck and get out of there. So and then when that was done, the fans dropped us, and now it's a cult album. A lot of people they really love the album. I still hate it, but that's just me, But I'm just being honest, because I just have such a bad taste, from this whole time frame, I guess. So then I quit, and it took me 20 years to come back. Maybe a little bit less than that, 18 something. It's when I started to realize is that, people kept finding me. They kept sending me messages and emails and letters from all over the world. Like, are you coming back? Are you coming back? I'm like, I did not realize that we made such an impact on on the youngsters back then, when we were still kids, that we had this impact on people. So I finally realized that, maybe it's time to come back. And then, but if I come back, I want to come back with a vengeance. I want to come back with an album that is very grim, brutal, because although I understand that people are very charmed by the melodical solos that we did, for example, on Twisted Truth or Land of Tears, people love that stuff. I always wanted to go more brutal and just a little bit more crazy than that. And our drummer back then, Marco, he was not into blast beats. But he was a friend, so I couldn't kick him out. He's just a friend, And then we just left that blast beat stuff for what it was, and I just continued making music. And then by the time we reformed, it was still Patrick there from the second album up, and up until Spheres. And then he came back for Resurrection, and then he came back for Doctrine, and he came back for Obsideo. So at least he was a constant factor in my musical career as well. And the rest, I kept on using different members to just to keep the juices flowing, to keep the motivation for me there to work with different people all the time, which makes it fresh.
Talking about Resurrection Macabre, that awesome comeback. It's a big sound. How has it been back in the studio again compared to the 18, 20 years before when you were in there?
Imagine not having played death metal or your passion for 20 years. So you come back with this newfound energy and enthusiasm. That it was so nice to be working again with Tony Choi, and to have Peter Wildur there to do Resurrection. And we did a tour with this lineup as well, and it was a blast, man. It's just so great to be back on stage. Hellfest, we did Hellfest, we did a bunch of huge festivals, and everything seemed just to be going back to normal, and I was enjoying myself on stage, and so everything was pretty cool, actually. So, and now on a sidetrack is that this is another thing that people ask me all the time is why do you keep changing your lineup? Are you difficult to work with? Are you a Hitler? Are you a dictator? Or what's up with that? Well, Peter Wildur is from Darkane. That's his main project, right? So I knew I was not going to have him for a long time since he's doing stuff with Darkane. And in the meantime, he was even doing other stuff for what's that band again that he did audience audition for? Can't remember. But, he has his own musical life. And so I couldn't keep the guy, and Tony Choi, he lives in the States, and he had Atheist. So this has been a regular problem for me, is to keep guys in the bands that are good enough to play with Pestilence. But these guys all have their projects, their own main projects. So this has been also a challenge up until now, really.
For the Doctrine album in 2011, you got the 8-string guitars and that kind of guttural lower sound. What inspired that particular change in Pestilence's sound?
Okay, well, I always want to challenge myself, and when I got the opportunity to work together with Ibanez, they gave me 2 8-string guitars, and I figured if Meshuggah can do it, I can do it as well, and I can do it even better, because Meshuggah is more like a gen type stuff with with syncopation and different drum rhythms. But Pestilence plays the 8 string like they would play a 6 string. So it's more like playing it like a guitar, and not just using the F sharp string and the B string and just noodle around a little bit. So I love Meshuggah, don't get me wrong though. But I thought it was a challenge, So I took it as a challenge, and we came up with Doctrine, and we came up with the Obsideo. We just wanted to go heavier and see where it goes, because if you lower your 6 strings, if you lower them, the tone will not be as good. So you need thicker strings, and the 8 string, of course, has the thicker strings and the wider neck, and there's so much that you can do with that. And after these 2 albums, I thought, but this is not it for me, because live, everything is so low that it's very difficult to distinguish notes and everything. Everything is in the same frequency as the bass guitar, which is really low already. So Jeroen, who played on those 2 albums, and he played on Spears as well, he had to find a different tone to make things happen. So and it started to be more like a mathematical thing, instead of just trying to make organic music. So it was always like, you have to think of this, you have to think of that. So after those 2 albums, I figured, we've done all that we can do with the 8 string, and I'll just go back to 6 string. That's when Hey Dion came about.
Yeah. So with Obsideo, that's the last album with the other Patrick on it.
Yeah.
So he'd been with you guys since 1989. Can I ask what happened there?
Not much. He's just been getting sicker and sicker. I think he has a like some kind of form of MS, multiple sclerosis.
Okay.
And so after Obsideo, he told me, Pat, I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore. I need to take it easy and take it slower. So I figured to let the guy go and just, whatever, not worry about going on tour anymore and stuff. And so I felt really bad about it, but he told me it's okay. He said he had a great life with Pestilence, and but it's time to move on and just take things more slow. So that was a little bit of a big blow to me. But on the other hand, I knew that was the best choice for everybody. So I just left it to where it was. Sometimes I have contact with him, because you know how that goes. If I move on with my music and he's not involved anymore, the topics change, and I don't want to be asking him how you're doing all the time, in regards of his illness. So
yeah, sure. So around that time, C187 forms. How did that come about?
Well, I'm just very creative, I guess. I'm very creative with my music. I do C187. I do Drone 187. I have Neuromorph. I have Gestalt. I have all these projects that I'm working on. It's just because I am always so productive in my music. I always have music in my head, and people don't realize that because I have music in my head all the time, 24/7. Sometimes I just want to turn off. So when people ask me, what music do you listen to? What death metal do you like? I'm not listening to music at all, because it drives me nuts to have all these notes in my head all the time anyway. So that's the answer to that question. But C187 I always wanted to do like a more a jazz fusion metal type of thing, which I think I succeeded with that. It's just sometimes it's very difficult or dangerous to use certain words or you say certain things that people might misinterpret. So in one interview, I have said that I really liked the aggressiveness of gangster rap. Okay, these bands that did these gangster rappers, their lyrics are fairly brutal at times because it deals with addiction, with drugs, with alcohol, with crime, with women, with guns, all that shit, right? So I thought it had some fair brutal topics, and since I was going to use a singer, you need lyrics for that. So we figured going about with these topics. So what happens is that metalheads don't like gangster rap, right? I get it, but I never said I was going to make gangster rap music. But I should have never mentioned that, and the album would have been bigger. So the album didn't flop because there's a bunch of guys that really dig it, and the music it stands for itself. It has Sean Reiner on drums for God's sake, That's a hell of a drummer right there, and Tony Choi and on bass. What can you say? I mean, that's like a dream team right there. So that never went anywhere. So I guess Mascot Records was not really interested in this, and and this was right after I quit with Pestilence. So this was the first stuff that I was doing because I was not interested in playing Pestilence again at that point. So and it's a shame because sometimes when I feel like listening to that album, it just great memories come back, and from when Sean was still alive, the things that we were talking about, profound stuff, regarding music and things in life, what made it a very special time for me.
What prompted the return of Pestilence again after that break in 2018?
I think it was Hate Eternal that got me onto it again, because I did, when because I'm a big fan of drummers, right? So when Derek Ruddy was getting really, really big, and they were doing King of All Kings and stuff like that, I was like, dude, this music is insane. I have to do something with Pestilence again. Not like I want to copy their music, but I certainly heard references of Pestilence in the riffing of Eric Rutan. And I think he has mentioned it in one of his interviews that he is influenced by some of my riffing. So I thought that was really cool to hear. But that got me kind of back into making brutal music, really. So I have to give props to Hate Eternal for that, and I know he's in Cannibal Corpse right now, but I think that, at least he should continue with this, because I've been following this guy since he was doing Ripping Corpse. Remember Ripping Corpse? That's fucking awesome. Yeah. Cool. So yeah.
Excellent, man. So that album, the Hadeon album, it's got this cool kind of, I don't know, sci-fi concepts kind of thing with the sort of Eastern sounds in there and stuff. When you started writing that, did you have a concept in mind?
Well, I don't really know how this whole process goes, and I don't think that anyone can tell you, any musician can really tell you how this process goes, because from my own experience, music comes at the weirdest times. It will come to you, and maybe it's you open up that the gates to hell. I don't know how you call it, but something happens, and there is this there's this little idea that just pops up, um, and if you're a musician, you know what I'm talking about. It's like, okay, you have to grab and hold on to that moment and write it down or do something with it, or it gets lost again. So
Yeah.
I did a fair amount of waking up in the middle of the night because I dream music as well, which is terrible because when I dream music, it sounds so awesome, and I cannot reproduce what I was dreaming. So this is a huge frustration. But the music comes to me, I write it down, but I don't think about any concept or anything, how it's going to be, how it's going to shape in the end. I just have all these ideas, and sometimes I have a sentence that I'm really struck by. I like the sentence, and then if I say the sentence in itself will have a rhythmical aspect to it, and that can be the basis of a song. So it does not have to be music; it can be a sentence as well. Um, and that's how it goes, and then this snowball becomes bigger and bigger, and before you know it, you have an album done, and now you're trying to, put it into shape and form and make it into an album. I do realize that all Pestilence albums have a certain red thread to it, so it's more like a concept album every time. And Hey Dion is not an exception. Hey Dion, it's the topics that what we write about or what I write about. Um, the way I interpret it is I try to visualize what I'm trying to say. I'm visualizing, then I'm thinking, in music, I'm thinking in album covers, I'm thinking in cinematics, I'm thinking in all these little things that I have to remember in order to make a great album. So, yeah, some people say it's a little bit sci-fi, and also because of the album cover, and everything has to fit, really. So, um, and if everything fits and everything is bright and it feels good, then you have an album.
Cool. So before we talk about the new album, I guess I got to ask: did you get the new lineup together before recording the new album?
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
This is before the pandemic started. So if people ask me, is Exitium influenced by the pandemic? No, because I already wrote most of the material. Because it takes about a year for me to access all my ideas and write everything down and make songs. So, but clearly there is a reference because it just happened for a reason that I came up with Exitium now, which means total destruction in Latin, which is what we are witnessing right now. Total destruction of the old world that we are seeing.
Mm. Yeah, it's odd timing, right?
When we did the touring for Hey Dion, this band Bleeding Gods, they opened up for us, and the guitar player was Rutger, who is now my guitar player. So I checked that guy out. He was like opening up for us every night, and every time I checked him out for maybe one or two songs, I was like, wow, this guy has a lot of good energy. He got a good stage presence, and he's always very professional. He's got stuff, he gets stuff done. So I asked him to join Pestilence, and he knew a bunch of other guys. So that's again when the balls start rolling, and I started asking people. And normally when I ask people to join Pestilence, they don't say no for some reason. They want to do it. And I hardly have to put like an advertisement or something like this, or in a magazine or something like, oh, Pestilence is looking for a drummer. It's just like pretty much very easy.
Yeah, it's cool. So from the two tracks I've heard, I can hear a welcome return of the synth and those kind of dissonant chords and stuff. What else can we look forward to on this for the rest of this new album?
I think you've heard Morbus Propagationem and you heard Deificus, right?
Mm.
Every song is such a big statement. Every song has their own set of musical ingredients that it stands for itself. You know, for the first two songs, we've done the video clip, and we're working on something else right now. But every song is so powerful with the lyrics and with everything, with the song structure, that every song stands for itself. But when you hear the whole album together, again, it's a concept, and it's being glued together by soundscapes and all these little things that are happening in between. And even in the songs, there are little frequencies that, excuse me, little frequencies that when you listen on headphones, you're like, wait a minute, what is this? You know, and there's always little things going on, which I really enjoy doing. Is that you know, to put that icing on the cake. It's just that those little extra ear candy, I guess. I wanted to do something that I haven't done, you know, prior, because I don't like to look in the past. I think that, you know, a lot of bands do that. You know, I also see a lot of bands trying to hold on to a style because it was popular when they were starting to do that, and now they're still doing it, but they start to become really boring. So with Pestilence, I always want to move ahead and evolve and have that wow factor, so that people are like, oh man, this is it's most certainly is Pestilence, because I compose music, but there's always something happening, always something new is happening. Maybe the production already is just way better than Hey Dion, and Hey Dion was already pretty clear, right? But this one is even more into your face. And what has changed the most is my vocals. I think it's more brutal, and some guys have said, "Oh, you sound just like Jeff Becerra." You know what I do? I talk to Jeff Becerra. I say, Jeff, do you think I sound like you? Jeff says, no, you sound like Patrick. Yeah. Okay, well, what can I say about it? Right?
Yeah.
The thing is that people always have to compare to something else. You know, you have to just love an album for what it is. Now, if an album is shit, the album is just shit. But if it's not the same like the previous album, it doesn't mean that it's worse.
Yeah, no, definitely. Talking about the two new videos, it looks like you shot in an old power station or something. Can you tell us about that?
I think it was an old factory, and yeah, and it's easier to do, to do two videos from pretty much the same location, and then have I don't know all the technical aspects of it, but there's all kinds of visuals involved and stuff like that. But it has the overall same style, because it's done by Group 13, right? The guys from the Polish guys that also did Behemoth. They're very well known for Behemoth. And of course, we don't have the budget that Behemoth has, but I would have loved to fly like in air like he did over the sea. I would have thought that's pretty amazing, man. But with the budget that we have, and we had luckily Agonia Records is Polish, and they knew the guys and they made a good deal. So yeah, I think it came out really, really nice, and I foresee in the near future for the next album to be working with these guys again. So it's been a blast, man.
Awesome, man. That's cool.
With all the costumes and all the actors and all that stuff, that was pretty rad.
Yeah, it looks really great, man. It's cool. So off the back of this album, are you able to play shows at the moment?
Well, we have stuff planned, but as far as I know now, everything is being postponed to 22. Like most bands have the same problem. It's not just Pestilence. It's everybody's having the same problems. And I think it's really sad when you realize that governments, they don't really care about culture and music, really. I mean, I don't know how it is with you guys, but here in Holland, we didn't get no financial aid or anything. So it's been really bad. I haven't had an income for over a year, and they don't care, man. So I'm hoping this to be opening up a little bit more. And I think we have a show in Czech Republic. I think it's in August, and we are planning to do something in Italy now, and hopefully things will open up again. That we only need like one of those quick tests or something like this.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to be bothered with taking no vaccine. So that's just my personal opinion about it. Yeah.
So you're saying how like you've always got songs in your head. Are you already kind of thinking ahead about the next album and got something brewing?
Oh yeah, definitely. I have to kind of hold myself back a little bit because this album is not even out yet. So I'm already thinking about the next album. So I have to kind of focus myself on this album and doing interviews and being just focused on this. But I have ideas for the next album, and it's going to be pretty insane. So when you see my whole discography, it's constantly evolving. So, and this is going to be another giant leap from Exitium again. So I have no idea. But I like to take risks. I like to take risks and make sure that I keep the music interesting for myself as well, and hopefully the fans can accept it. But I think that by now they know that that Pestilence always delivers good music, but sometimes we switch the Pestilence style up a little bit.
Yeah, no, it's a good thing, man. You keep it going. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, look, congratulations on an impressive music career so far. I've pre-ordered the album. I actually buy CDs, and I know everyone does, but I'm looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to hearing what comes next, man. Thanks heaps for your time, hey.
Yeah, thank you so much, man, and hopefully we get to meet each other at some point during a festival or tour or whatever. Because it's I'm a big advocate in just meeting people and enjoying everybody's company and just being normal again. This has been a crazy time for everybody, so it's time to be back to normal, and so we can just shake hands and have a good time.
Yeah, hell yeah, man. Cool. Awesome. Thanks, Patrick. Have a good one, man. Thank you.
Later, brother.
See ya.